This week, the United States pledged $212 million to help rebuild Gaza. This is on top of the U.S. already providing $300 million a year to the UN agency UNRWA for Palestinian refugees. There was a controversy during Israel's Operation Protective Edge this summer when Hamas was accused of storing rockets in UNRWA schools to hide them from the Israeli military. Questions are being raised over whether taxpayer money should go to help rebuild Gaza. Joining us to discuss is David Bedein, director for the Center of Near East Policy Research, who is out with a new film called UNRWA Goes to War. And from Jerusalem, Chris Gunness, spokesperson for UNRWA. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Now, in light of this recent criticism, David, your organization put out this new film. Let's watch some of that.
عن الجهاد مثلا شو بحكوا لكم؟
إنه إحنا كنا نجاد وكنا نقاوم بالحجار وكنا يعني سلاحنا الحجارة وكنا نقوم فيها بأي إشي يعني عشان نطلعهم وما نخليهم مش محتلين أرضنا.
Now, Chris, you just saw this interview. This film is filled with interviews with children, these young students, their teachers, what they're teaching them about jihad, about fighting against Israel. What are your thoughts?
This is joke journalism on a noddy network, and it astonishes me that Fox News can give credibility and airtime to a catalogue of falsehoods from a man who has shared a byline in the past with a Kahanist, and I hope David will explain that, but who has a proven track record in taking non-UNRWA facilities and dressing them up as UNRWA facilities. And I have spent the day going through this film frame by frame. I can quote you minute by minute time codes of where David Bedein takes non-UNRWA people, students, schools. There are many leading questions in these interviews.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's have.
It's a catalogue of lies.
Okay, so let's have David address that.
The question from Mr. Gunness and UNRWA is: do you deny the fact that UNRWA in Gaza was taken over? The schools, the Teachers Association, and the Administrative Workers Association was taken over by Hamas, which is defined by the UN, by the EU, by the US, by Great Britain as a terrorist organization. That's number one. Number two, do you deny the fact? Can you explain? Everyone's talked about the missiles in the schools. Do you deny the fact that Hamas runs in those schools Al-Qutla clubs, which is basically clubs which are involved with paramilitary training?
Right, Chris, basically what David's pointing to is news that was confirmed. It was confirmed that these UNRWA schools were used to hide weapons, and then those weapons were transferred back. They were given right back to Hamas.
And how did they get there?
I deny that the weapons were handed back to Hamas. The reason why Fox News and David Bedein and every other journalist on the planet knows about this story is that when we discovered these rockets in schools which had been closed down for the summer and mothballed, they were discovered in routine UNRWA inspections. We proactively condemned as a flagrant violation of our neutrality the hiding of these weapons in our schools. Any idea that we tried to quietly squirrel them away to Hamas, which is what Mr. Bedein is suggesting, is utter nonsense. And yes, I categorically deny it. Where is the evidence, Mr. Bedein? Where is the evidence of what you're saying? There is none.
Okay, David, I'll give David a chance to respond, please.
Okay, what cannot be denied is the fact that Hamas took over the school system in Gaza.
Where is the evidence?
What are you talking about?
The
European Union
Chris, there's a lot of
study.
We can have this back and forth about the film, and that's again why I invited you to speak about. But
not the film. Where is the evidence? Forget
this is
the film, then.
This is
where
news
is
that
the
was
evidence
confirmed.
That we handed over?
This is
where
news that
is
was
the
confirmed.
That we
Can I ask you a question?
Where is the evidence that we handed over the rockets to Hamas, please?
Are you denying
the
fact?
The
I have here.
Yes, I am denying the fact that the weapons were handed over to Hamas.
But how did they get there? How did those get there?
They were put there by militants.
Can you please explain?
They were put there by militants.
Please explain to me
how we proactively condemned them.
Okay, let's stop right there.
You know about the story
why were they?
Because
It's fine. They weren't. let's go to your point, and I'm going to just agree with you,
The
just for the sake of
schools were
making this
mothballed
point.
for the summer.
Why were they
The
put in
schools
those
were
schools?
empty.
And how were they put in those
Why were
schools?
they put in those schools?
How were they put in those
Wait
schools?
1 second, David.
We are a neutral humanitarian organisation. Our schools were shut down for the summer, and in that context, with no UNRWA staff there, militants put these rockets there. As soon as we discovered them, we told all the relevant authorities, including the Israeli authorities, and we publicly condemned it. Now, what else did you expect us to do? Did you think we would throw them in the back of a pickup, drive across a battlefield over the confrontation line, and hand them over to the Israelis? If you do think that, you simply don't understand the workings, the operations of a neutral humanitarian organisation which regards its neutrality as the family silver. And that's the truth about UNRWA, not the pack of lies which you've given airtime to, thanks to David Bedein, who has a track record in putting out nonsense about UNRWA.
David, I'll give you the last word.
But this is not the issue. In 2003, the UNRWA Teachers Association and Administrative Workers Association was taken over by Hamas. What we would expect from a neutral humanitarian organization is to object to that, and in successive 4 elections after that, continuing that. That is a violation of U.S. law. And 10 years ago, when I asked Peter Hansen, the head of UNRWA at the time, how do you justify Hamas being on your staff? He said he has no problem with it. As a result, he was fired. Now, the question is very simple. They did not come from Martians. Martians did not bring these weapons there. Those are the same schools.
I thank you both for joining us. We'll have to leave it there. It's always a good way to come together and hopefully come up with some sort of...
David Bedein was talking utter nonsense.
We'll leave the personal insults for another time.
I don't go down to that level. I want to have some facts and some explanations.
It's a journalistic
point. Some explanations are
Thank you so
needed.
much. Thank you to you both.